you were saying last year by this time, and you were talking about this song released in 1984.
1984.
Should I say, you mean you change?
Charlie.
Charlie, the song grew past week,
Allah.
but we still the jump.
Oh yeah, of course we could jump to it.
And last year by this time we were having the Citi Family Day out.
Yeah.
25th May is for years.
Typically a holiday for us.
Family
It's
Day
always
out.
been a holiday.
In 2015 we were at Bema Camp for Family Day out. 2016 Bema Camp for Family Day out. 2017 Bema Camp for Family Day out. I think 2018 we went to the Aviation Social Center.
Yes.
2019 we went to Aviation Social Center.
2020.
So by this time your team would have been preparing to cook. You know the cookout, right?
Yeah, I remember the cookout. Yes.
We'll be preparing to cook. Families will be out meeting other families, friends meeting friends, sharing the love and everything. And because of the coronavirus, COVID-19 pandemic, things have slowed down. And this morning when I was coming and I was looking at pictures from the previous years, I was asking myself, how many events have had to be called off because of COVID-19?
Yeah.
And how
whole lot.
How many people are now purely broke? Especially those in the event space, because over the past 3 months they've had nothing to do. And I was thinking about it. I was like, really, Charlie, this thing, it'd be crazy.
Oh yeah,
it's serious.
I wonder if there's any sector or domain that hasn't been affected.
Yeah, and just imagine the number of events that would have been organized yesterday and today for Salah.
Yeah.
The various Salah Fest around the country,
the shows, concerts,
how the meat will be flowing. By now there'll be meat in the kitchen. Sunday is supplying meat, others are supplying meat. It's really brought a lot of things to a halt, and some of these things should tell us that, look, as a people, we should not rest until we defeat this, or until we figure out how to bring our life back to some kind of normal whilst this thing still exists. And the lessons we've picked from COVID-19 and some of the things we are doing, like hand washing, like this, like that, we should continue to do them.
Oh yeah, of course.
They should be a part of us, because it helps us to also deal with a lot of other things like cholera and all those other things. So COVID-19.
Anyway, 6:36. What are the newspapers saying?
I'll start with the Ghanaian Times. Coronavirus pandemic roadmap to ease restrictions in the offing. This is President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. But the sad news is that the Savannah region has recorded its first coronavirus case.
Yeah.
And the national count rises to 6,683. President praises Muslims for adhering to COVID-19 restrictions during Ramadan. And health minister elected to serve on WHO executive board. That's our health minister.
That's a big position.
Yes.
The health minister is doing big things.
Now, the Daily Graphic, give us violent-free elections. Chief Imam urges the EC. Industrial and Commercial Workers Union is 60 today, and they actually have the center spread of the Ghanaian Times.
Okay.
Writing about their history, the various general secretaries they've had, the infrastructure they've done, and what they want to do going forward. Now, discussions to ease restrictions end this week. This is the president. And Graphic holds Eid Mubarak Forum. Now, if you go to the Daily Guide, Obinim Paris Post Bill Party claims Nana to remove restrictions. Minister okays Kumasi Mayor sanitation strategy. And Savannah records first COVID-19 case. Tally now 6,683.
The numbers are going up. If you visit citinewsroom.com, it says roadmap for easing restrictions to be announced by close of week. That's the president speaking there. And the vice president, Dr. Baumia, says 2020 Ramadan was challenging due to COVID-19, and the president again salutes Muslims for sacrifices during Ramadan. The aviation minister says deportees tested negative for COVID-19 in Kuwait. Now, this is in relation to the number of deportees who are back in town after they left Kuwait. Remember that they were taking through some protocols, and it looks like they will be quarantined for a bit as we figure out their various statuses. And if you see if you look at the COVID-19 Ghana update on citinewsroom.com, the numbers are there. Total confirmed cases 6,683. Total active cases 4,653. Total recoveries 1,198, and 32 refers to the total deaths. Quite sad there. If you go to My Joy Online, They also have some stories. NAPCO Trainees Association petitions Akufo-Addo for permanent employment. Those are some of the things there. And 2020 will be remembered as the year the earth stood still. That's Dr. Mensa Otabil of the ICGC speaking there. Ghana has 66 new COVID-19 cases, one more death, taking count to 6,683. And Mahama prays for Allah's protection for Ghanaians amid COVID-19, and over 200 returnees from Kuwait test negative for COVID-19. They also have a full transcription of the president's speech at the 2020 virtual Eid al-Fitr celebration. Those are some stories from myjoyonline.com. If you visit the BBC Africa homepage, it says South African leader says outbreak will get worse. Cyril Ramaphosa saying that the worst is still ahead while announcing an ease in lockdown measures. And there's a feature on Eid in Africa, crowds and masks amid coronavirus, and Ivorian Burkinabe troops in anti-jihadist offensive, plus there are live updates in terms of COVID-19. Buhari laments COVID-19 impact on Africa's biggest economy. And if you visit the BBC's main page, it says Cummings' row overshadows plans to lift lockdown. Have you been following the conversation? Boris Johnson, one of his top aides, has been cited in a few breaches of the lockdown, and the matter is raging heavily in the United Kingdom. People aren't giving him any grief. Dominic Cummings, people aren't giving him any grief at all. And UK draws up rescue plan for key companies. Those are some of the stories that are online. Coach, let's get into the newspapers.
Yes, there's also Citi Business News. There are some interesting stories here. Ghana's economy will recover quickly after COVID-19. This is the Vice President Baumia speaking. And ADB to support local rice farmers to alleviate financial challenges. Akwetia Development Association urges the government to withdraw appointment of new MD for the Ghana Consolidated Diamonds Limited. And GCX working to reverse drop in trading due to COVID-19. This is the CEO. But on the stimulus package for SMEs, the NBSSI says that over 14,000 businesses have applied for the stimulus package. You know, last week on Friday, the number was around 6,000.
Yes.
Now 14,000, we are told. Yeah. Over 14,000.
It just tells you how much of an impact COVID-19 has had on businesses. Yeah, let's get into the newspapers.
Okay, so we'll start with the Daily Graphic, page 13. Discussions to ease restrictions end this week. This is the president. And Donald Ato Dapatem writes that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has said that stakeholder consultations on easing restrictions meant to contain the COVID-19 pandemic are expected to be completed this week. And he said, and I quote, stakeholder consultations are taking place on the way forward towards the easing of restrictions so that our social and economic lives can go back to normal. I expect these consultations to conclude this week so that I can announce to Ghanaians a clear roadmap for easing the restrictions, unquote. The president stated this when he joined some Muslim clerics and faithful for the virtual celebration of the Eid al-Fitr at the studios of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation yesterday. Now, assigning reasons for the consultations towards the easing of restrictions, the president, who was in a white smock over a pair of black trousers, noted that there was a need to find a way back to normal life, which must be done in safety because the country could not be under the restrictions forever. He said he was fortified in that view by considerations including the rate of infections, the number of deaths, and those hospitalized with severe cases, and the applications of the 3 T's of tracing, testing, and treating. The president explained that every death was very sad, but the rate of deaths in Ghana from confirmed cases was very low, 1 per 1 million, which was one of the lowest in Africa and the world.
At that same function, the president commended Muslims across the country for putting on hold some activities while observing Ramadan in the wake of the novel coronavirus pandemic. Now, the story is on citinewsroom.com, and it goes on to say Muslims in Ghana, like others in different parts of the world, for the first time observed the Ramadan without the daily congregational prayers in mosques and other communal activities such as mass eating due to disruptions caused by the pandemic. The president says, or he said, quote, I salute you for these sacrifices that you have made for our collective good. More importantly, you have made these sacrifices specifically to save human lives. end quote. And the president expressed hope that next year Muslims in the country would, quote, congregate as they have done over the years and celebrate Eid fully and without any restrictions, end quote. So those are some of the words from the president. The vice president has also been speaking. If you go to citinewsroom.com, he says 2020 Ramadan was challenging due to COVID-19, and the story is also on citinewsroom.com. And the vice president and his wife have wished Muslims in Ghana a happy Eid Mubarak, and he did so in a video message and described this year's Eid as one of the most challenging in recent times due to the outbreak of the coronavirus. And he, like I said, was speaking to Muslims all over the country as they marked the Eid al-Fitr on Sunday, May 24.
More on COVID-19 and related matters. Page 17 of the Ghanaian Times. 241 Ghanaians stranded in Kuwait arrive in Ghana. Now, 241 Ghanaians who were stranded in Kuwait arrived at the Kotoka International Airport on board a chartered flight on Saturday. Also on the flight were 43 Togolese en route to their home country. The returnees, who were the first batch of more than 3,000 Ghanaians stranded abroad as a result of the outbreak of the novel coronavirus pandemic, arrived at the Kotoka International Airport around 2:30 p.m. at the cost of the Kuwaiti government. Excited to be back home, the returnees were full of joy and cheered on the government representatives, including Mr. Joseph Kofi Adda, Minister of Aviation, Charles Oredu, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Mr. Henry Korti, Deputy Minister of National Security, and Mr. Dixon Osei-Bonsu, Chief Legal Advisor of Operation COVID-19 Safety Committee. Mr. Adda, on behalf of the President, the government and the people of Ghana, welcomed them home and urged them to adhere to the advice from health personnel and other officials assigned to them. Later, officials of the Ghana Immigration Service took the returnees through arrival procedures and health screening and gave them lunch before they were transported to an isolation center by a joint task force. The joint task force included representatives from the National Security Council, Immigration Service, Ghana Armed Forces, Ghana Police Service, and personnel from the Ghana Health Service. Others are from the Customs Division of the GRA, NADMO, Ambulance Service, Ghana National Fire Service, and the Ministry of Transport. And according to the task force, which is in charge of the exercise codenamed Operation Return Home, their mandate was to ensure smooth reception, screening, and the quarantining of the returnees.
Well, if you go to citynewsroom.com again, there are more details in relation to this particular story and some pictures as well. So Dr. Patrick Kumar Boaji, who's the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, has stated that the deportees will be tested for COVID-19 and will undergo a 14-day mandatory quarantine or isolation depending on the test results. And after that, they will decide on the next line of action. So it looks like they are back. And like I said, there are pictures of the arrival on citynewsroom.com at the Kotoka International Airport. They've been spaced out, and they are waiting. We'll wait to see what happens.
Yes. And
to
more
them.
on the test and related matters.
Yeah.
The Citi Newsroom has this angle, and the Ghanaian Times also has the same angle. They are expected to undergo a compulsory testing by personnel from the Ghana Health Service for the virus, although they already tested negative in Kuwait prior to their 8-hour journey to Ghana.
Okay.
And what Dr. Patrick Kumar Boaji said, which we captured, was that even though they tested negative, we want to be very sure.
Yes.
So we'll test them again.
You don't
And
want them.
after the mandatory quarantine, they'll be allowed to go home. Now, on the same page, on page 17 of the Ghanaian Times, Health Minister elected to serve on WHO Executive Board.
Okay.
Now, the story says the Health Minister, Kweku Agyeman-Manu, has been elected to serve on a 34-member executive board of the World Health Organization. The board, composed of technically qualified persons in the field of health, is mandated to give effect to the decisions and policies of the World Health Assembly to generally facilitate its work across the globe. A Facebook post to announce the new portfolio said the minister is one of the 7 Africans elected to serve on the board, each designated by a member state that has been elected to serve by the World Health Assembly. So that is the good news. So congrats in order for the health minister.
Yeah. He gets to work with some of his colleague health ministers for the betterment of mankind. If you go to my joint online, NAPCO trainees are not too happy. They have petitioned the president and they've proposed the consideration of its members for permanent employment. According to a press statement that was put out sometime in May, President of the association explained that, quote, having marched on with our engagement through to this juncture of the 3-year journey on contract terms, the expiration date is not distant from now. End quote. So essentially, they want to be giving some jobs. Remember that the NAPCO was set up in May 2018 to employ young men and women to assist in the public sector service delivery, or to assist in helping to deliver when we talk of the public sector. Now, the statement has been reproduced in full, and they're essentially asking that they need to be giving an opportunity. Remember, after the 3-year spell, they'll have to find their way, and they are hoping that for those who are not going to work for themselves, they are praying the president to give them some employment in the public service infrastructure somewhere.
Now, more on employment-related matters. The Daily Guide: Controller dismisses salary validation challenge. A lot of L's and R's. I had to take my time. Now, Ernest Kofi Adu writes for the Daily Guide that the management of the Controller and Accountant General's Department has downplayed claims that the salaries of workers are uncertain because of technical challenges in validating them. The head of public relations, Cephas Dosu, in a statement released to the media, said the management of the department's attention was drawn to a false publication that the government's worker salary validation was in limbo as Controller encounters technical challenges. He dismissed the reports and says that everything is in order and workers should expect their salaries when it's due. So that has been said. Now, on the NBSSI thing,
Okay.
the story says 14,000 people have already signed onto the stimulus package. They've applied for the stimulus package. And on Friday, for instance, hundreds of people thronged the offices of the NBSSI in the Bono region to apply for the package. Hundreds of small-scale businesses in Sunyai and its environs went to the Sunyai office to apply for the package. Now, while NBSSI officials declined to speak about the exercise, some applicants who have gone through the registration spoke to Citi Business News. Now, one person who spoke to us says he sells plastic bowls with his wife.
Okay.
And they've gone to seek help to improve their business. Now, he said the process was smooth, and when they get the money, they would apply it profitably to bring their business back on its feet.
If you go to the Ashanti region, and this story is on citibusinessnews.com, says some persons in the Ashanti region who have applied for government's 1 billion cedi stimulus package to support SMEs affected by the COVID-19 pandemic are urging government to ensure early release of the funds to help them achieve desired impact. According to the National Board for Small-Scale Industries, almost all sectors of the economy, such as those in agri, education, services, manufacturing, trade, among others, have applied for the package. And some business owners in Kumasi say they have been heavily affected by the pandemic, and they are hoping that the support will help them bounce back, but they want the monies released on time to achieve the desired impact. So one person says, quote, I, for instance, traveled to China to buy goods. Since our borders have been closed from March up to date, we have been surviving on the little money we had until the border closure. This has affected us badly because we have been out of business, end quote. So people in the Ashanti region hoping for the cash to come in quickly so they can get some business going and, in effect, make some money to take care of themselves and their families. But if you go to South Africa, and this one is on the BBC's Africa page, President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, has warned that the country's coronavirus outbreak is going to get much worse, while announcing that lockdown measures are to be eased. And he said a third of the country's more than 22,000 cases had been recorded in the last week. Despite that, the president said the current lockdown could not be sustained indefinitely, and he announced that from the 1st of June, more restrictions would be lifted. And he was speaking after a mining company in South Africa said 164 workers on a gold mine near Joburg had tested positive for coronavirus. So a midnight curfew will no longer be in place. More businesses will be allowed to open. Schools will restart, and the controversial ban on alcohol will also end with limited sales allowed for home consumption only.
Now, if you check the front page of the Daily Graphic, there's a beautiful picture of the National Chief Imam,
Okay.
Sheikh Osman Nuhu Shaributu. Charlie, The picture is nice. The attire he's wearing is really nice. And he's saying some very, very important things as well. He says the EC should give us a violence-free election. And Emmanuel Boni writes for the Daily Graphic that the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Osman Nuhu Shaributu, has called on the Electoral Commission and other stakeholders involved in this year's general election to work towards violence-free and transparent elections. Moreover, he said political stakeholders should avoid tendencies that could jeopardize the political peace, harmony, and stability the country had enjoyed over the years and continues to enjoy. And according to him, this year's election is associated with so many challenges, including the COVID-19 crisis. And as a faith-based community committed to lasting peace and harmony, he is calling on all stakeholders, particularly the EC, to ensure a violence-free election. Now, more on the EC. The EC says they've weighed the challenges ahead of limited time for the new register, and we are in a good place. Now, the story says the head of public affairs of the EC, Madam Silviano, has affirmed that no political party should sympathize with the commission about the number of months left for the 2020 general elections to take place, and that they've weighed all the options and it can still be done.
Okay. Franklin Kujo, who's executive director of Imani Africa, over the weekend, he was on the big issue. He also has downplayed the EC's justification for the compilation of a new voters register. He says the reasons being given just can't hold water. The reasons do not hold water, and so the EC will have to revise its notes. All right, thank you very much, Kojo. That was the newspaper review. Proudly